Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Democratic View. And I'm the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano. And today I have two people who I have been seeing a lot of lately, as we are all involved in the Save East Hampton committee. And I have Deb Foster, we all know, a colleague as well.
Yes.
And Richard Janis. So they are going to talk today about an issue that has been going on in our town and spreading, I might add, as I have been reading even to now Shelter Island, by PSEG, and I'm going to show you the ad that was in the paper, the East Hampton Star, this week. And if you haven't seen it, you have to take a good look at it, and you have to read it carefully, because it does have some information in it that's awfully important to those of us who live here. So you want to tell us something about this, Deb?
Sure. Phyllis, you know, and Rich, probably you too, that I've been involved in local planning practically since I moved here 40-some years ago. Chair of the planning board, on the planning board for 14 years, elected to town office on the town board. This project, which has been kept secret from our tourists and from our residents, is the most dangerous, riskiest, expensive, poorly planned disaster I have ever seen try to get into East Hampton, and I've seen some doozies. Essentially, what's happening is that our favorite utility, LIPA, has designed a transmission line which gives us all the juice, electricity we need, every home, every garage, every business, every marina. This transmission line brings the juice. So they put in a 6.2 mile zigzag monster poles, 33 kilovolts of above ground power to serve as a backup for our current transmission line. And if people can kind of picture this, as you cross our railroad tracks, you can see down the corridor, and there's like these erector set transmission lines that were built about 40, almost 50 years ago. So they wanted to put in a backup. No problem. I don't think any of us have a problem with that. But it was to be a backup if the erector set lines were damaged in a hurricane. Well, not only aesthetically were they ugly and against the comprehensive plan and not safe and bad for our health and very expensive that the ratepayers are supposed to pick up. These erector sets would fall down, and in the same hurricane, this is new news from the engineer at the Public Service Department, these same new lines could not withstand that hurricane. And it's called a Category 4 hurricane. One last thing I'm going to say, and then Rich can put in his good thoughts. Okay, so I remember reading that and saying, they're ugly, they don't belong here, do we really need them? And then I caught something that said, well, they're not perfect. They will not withstand winds above 130 miles per hour. So I researched that. Come to find out there's been 28 hurricanes between 1995 and 2005, it seems like yesterday, up the Atlantic coast. How dare they put in a backup to a town that is the only town in New York State that has its back and sides to the ocean and tidal waters and one evacuation route. One. And finally, what really should get us angry is that there's money to put it underground. $1.4 billion from the federal government came into Governor Cuomo's hands, and he's dealing it out like monopoly money. Guess where it's going? Not going to the town that has the highest risks of any town in New York State. Thank you, Governor. It's going to where the most votes are. 100% they should help where Sandy helped. Definitely, houses were lost. But there's two parts to this money. The second part is to prevent damage and increase safety for future hurricanes. Hello, how about the most dangerous area in New York State getting some of those funds to bury that very dangerous, inadequate line? That's my paragraph.
Sounds pretty
Well,
good to
in
me.
addition to that money, they just came up with another $290-something million to underground utilities on the South Fork, because PSE&G sees the South Fork as a big power user, and they were going to build a gigantic plant in Yaphank, a multi-billion-dollar, $3 billion plant. And today, or in yesterday's Newsday, PSE&G themselves came out with a report that there's sufficient energy the way things are now to get through to 2020. This was their own report they came out with. So here they are. They want to put up more power, but they've also said, well, we have enough to get to 2020 without doing anything. And the worst part is, here's this company that there was a meeting in the springtime at Town Hall who touted how great they are at doing this. This is what they do, and we're really good at it. But they came in here with no thought in mind of what they did. You know, they went down these small streets that two cars could barely get by.
That's right.
Put up these big poles that, God forbid, something goes wrong, it's going to wind up in somebody's house along the road. They went down across the firehouse, and how's the ambulance going to get out? How's the fireman going to get out? How's the policeman going to get out? You know, to help people. Last time there was a down line a couple of years ago, it took 7 hours for them to respond to get the wire repaired and off the road and up again. 7 hours on one street. So you can imagine with a picture like that, what could happen, how long is it going to take when that happens? And the worst part is, in the early 1900s, 1902, 1903, East Hampton Village has an underground line that runs from 114 right down Montauk Highway out to the town line by Town Hall. So there was an existing underground system that hasn't failed in 100 and how many years. You could have opened that trench up, put your new lines in. You could have taken the old ones out and replaced them if they're that old, and we're done. And even next year, they did all the paving on Montauk Highway. New York State was going to repave 114 and 27 next year. Well, you could come in this winter, open it all up, bury your lines, and then the state will pay to cover the road. I mean, so they've got FEMA money out there for the federal government to pay to harden the system, and that's what it was all about, hardening the system against future disasters. And then the state would come in and do the roads for you. And it doesn't cost anybody anything. It doesn't cost the ratepayers, because right now what you have is people who live in different parts of town say, whoa, I don't want to pay for your lines to go underground. Well, none of us should have to. You have federal money to take care of it and state money to take care of it. And you got to get the governor and Senator Schumer to get the money, break the money out, take care of the East, and where, it's an election year. They're going to be coming here to have their fundraisers and looking for money. But, okay, now it's our turn, and where are you? We haven't heard anything from them. Nothing. Now, there's going to be a meeting on August 26th. It's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. at the Emergency Services Building on Cedar Street, where PSE&G is supposed to finally come and give us what their long-term plan is for the South Fork, which back in April, we asked Mr. Daly, who's the CEO of PSE&G, for a copy of this plan. He said, oh, yeah, you'll have that in a week. Well, that was how many months ago?
We never heard from him again.
We haven't seen anything, nothing. And, again, these are the guys who tout that they're the best at what they are. Well, maybe they're good at putting big poles up and things like that, but, they're not very good at planning something out. They came in, unlike Southampton, where Southampton, they had laid the poles out, and everybody said, whoa, what are you doing? And they put a stop to it. Here, they came in one day, and all of a sudden, they came in, boom, boom, boom. Poles went in, trees got cut down. I remember coming home one day, we had a 10-foot stump in front of our house from this tree that had to be about 60 years old. Gone, new pole there, and we're like, whoa, what's happening here? So for a company that's that good at what they do, they really haven't given much a thought to the people who live around here. And originally that line, they told us was going to be a redundant line between East Hampton and Amagansett. So if the main line ever went down, that was a way for them to turn a couple switches and bring the power up. Well, the bottom line of what's come out is that line really was needed to bring more power to Montauk. This whole redundant line was really only part of the story. The whole thing that they gave the village officials and the town officials was they just gave them little bits of the, the poles were going to be in kind. Well, they're round, but geez, they're how tall, how much wider, and they just sold everybody a bill of goods. And we're very fortunate that the mayor and Rebecca Molinari have really gotten involved in this. Because originally everybody was like, well, what can we do? And no one knew what to do. And the mayor has given her his blessings to really work at it. And she's done a great job at keeping everybody posted. Now this meeting's coming up, so people should really go to find out what's the long-term plan for here. What are they going to do next that we don't know about? And this is something that many people have been asking them since the springtime. Sorry.
Well, no, listen, that's fine. Yes, I know, even Larry Cantwell, who's the supervisor, of East Hampton, has been asking the same questions about what are your plans? I mean, this is a company that said at one of those meetings, well, if we bury the lines, what if we dig these trenches and we come across the sewer lines? And everybody in the audience said, what are you talking, sewer lines? Right. They did not know what they were doing when they came here.
They didn't do their homework, and what they want to do now is say, you know what, we'll fix it. What do you want? We'll fix it, but you send us a check. And that doesn't work that way. You guys came in, you didn't do your homework, you didn't investigate what you were doing, and here's this underground path you could have gone, not zigzag. How many turns was it?
10.
10 turns they had to make, versus they could come down 114, make one turn, and all the way out to Town Hall. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Is it going to cost more money in the beginning? Yes. Every business that expands invests money up front, right up front. It's a big expenditure. But over the years, it pays itself back. It's proven that's, 60% less maintenance costs when you go underground. So if you take that there, you run it out of amortize how many years, and 60% less maintenance. So it's going to cost you a lot up front. But in the long run, you're going to save money. But for them, PSEG, they need the maintenance work. They need the repair work. They need poles, wires up there so they can stay in business. Because think of it, if they had everything was underground, they probably wouldn't need so many guys, and they wouldn't need so many trucks, and they wouldn't need a lot of other things.
That's right.
And who pays for that? We all pay for it, not just the people along the route. Everybody pays. So it's like a self-preservation, this whole job. I mean, this system of going up above ground is so antiquated, it's scary. I mean, what year is this, 2014, and you're still using technology that they've used since the early 1900s in places.
That's right.
Since it started, since telephones started.
Right, up on poles. I don't know who figured out to put it up in the air, but, you see during storms, you see these wires down. It just makes no sense, and they really have never come up with a good explanation of, okay, you know what, be big boys, stand up, and say, you know what, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done it this way. And fix it. You got all winter when there's really nobody around.
That's right.
That you can carve up Montauk Highway right down the middle and 114. People can be inconvenienced in the winter. That's not so bad. And do it the right way. So it works long term, and it looks a hell of a lot nicer than what they've done here.
The other issue I want to bring up, that when I started, I wasn't aware of. I was just aware that in the comprehensive plan, it says everywhere, protect our scenic quality. By the way, it goes through 5 areas that have been preserved by for open space for farmland preservation, starting with Town Lane. 5 that we have said our priorities. for scenic rural open space and one big recreation center. But as a health teacher and getting my master's in health and safety, I sat down and really thought about how serious this would be if those transmission lines go down. I mean, everyone should picture their own home and their family now. There is no way that, because what it says in this Sofer-Simpson chart, it's a scale that's used nationally as to putting winds in categories, category 2, category 4. You see it on TV. In this category that's over 130 miles an hour, the following happens, okay? Just about all throughout town, transmission is down. So what does that mean? Because we are unique. It means because we have no sewers, we use our own individual septic systems. And when you, let's get to the reality, bottom line, flush your toilet, you're not going to be able to use it. So you have all your waste now that you cannot get rid of. That's number one. Number two, very few people have what we call public water. Even public water that Suffolk County Water Authority provides for us uses pumps and pressure. They're down. So there's no water anywhere. Oh, I'll go to the store to get some water. That'll be sold out before there, probably within 48 hours. Let's take a look at safety as far as traffic. No traffic lights. No lights at night. No air conditioning. No hospital. Let's think about this. We have a wonderful volunteer emergency system here. But how are they going to get injured people out when our only Route 27 is covered with trees?
That's right.
Because it says in category 4, large trees are down.
Yes.
And how are we going to get experts in here, even emergency people, because we have no hospital? How are we going to get the people that can repair first the transmission line in here? It's not going to be the yellow trucks. They can't get through. You know what the parameters are for this? At least 2 weeks. So, yes, we have evacuation centers, and yes, we have some generators. But in the summer, our population quadruples. We're going to have people that are spending a good amount of money, Rich, you can talk to this, that come out here in September, the best month, and are trapped in motels and can't flush the toilets. This is so serious that I personally want to go up to Cuomo, take him by his attractive necktie, him out here and say, don't you dare ask for any money from East Hampton until you realize that we might as well be Haiti. I mean, that it will implode that much. And I'm not the kind of person that the sky is falling, Chicken Little. But I don't see any effective way we can meet our families, our senior citizens' safety needs. I just don't see how we can do it. Or even provide food. At some point, all the food's going to go bad. It would be one thing if people could come in, the National Guard descend. You cannot get to us. Even boats in a Category 4 hurricane. There will be no piers. There will be no place for them to come. Has anyone thought of that? Everyone should show up at that hearing and say, excuse me, where is your disaster plan that's required for a potential Category 4 hurricane? I am so angry about this. And we all love this town and have worked hard to keep it a very special place that's safe and beautiful to live. It could be gone overnight.
Deb, you scared.
You should be scared. I'm being
I mean,
serious.
seriously, if I hear that there's a one down in Florida now, maybe I should go to
Yeah, Arthur
Westchester
just
now.
missed us. I'm
I mean, it's-
serious. We
no,
are
I
out
agree with you.
100
Look,
miles
I
into the
know.
Atlantic Ocean.
You know,
Trapped.
I lived through Sandy, and my kids were saying to me, "Are you
No.
going to come and you're going to come and you better hurry up and get over here?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to go," and stuff like that. But I'm telling you that there was nothing, and it was the end of October.
Well, how many people, you think back for that storm, went back to the west places? Because this was the place not to be.
Right.
I knew people who took boats back to the west because they said, well, it's not safe to stay here, we're going that way. People who had their second home said, we're not going there, we're going to stay wherever we live, in the Rockaways, wherever, Staten Island, look at what happened to those people, demolished. I mean, and that was a freak storm. And they say more and more, you're going to see this.
Absolutely.
And it may not run up into the city like that, but every year we're a sitting duck, every year. And every year you say, okay, at what tide is this storm going to hit? And many years we've had storms that they haven't hit on high tide, and we've been lucky, just plain lucky. That's what it is, And last time when the storm Sandy came in, oh, don't worry, the water's too cold, you had all the prognosticators, you don't have to worry about anything. This is never going to happen. Well, it happened, and it happened in high water.
The water wasn't so cold because I was in 2 days before.
No, but that's the whole.
I know that. I know that
mentality.
mentality.
That's the
The
whole thing.
water's cold, so the hurricane
It's
won't
not going to
hit.
happen. This Rich, why are you taking these boats out of the water? Because and the guys who stayed in the water or went someplace else, they went back and there was nothing left. And how many of those people went back and there was no home, or some people are still without homes? Now that has the potential to be here. Next time it could be here. We were lucky last time.
Yes, we
were
were.
very lucky when you look
We
at
were.
the big picture. And next time, that could be us, because every time there's been a big storm, it has been us. Back to the west, they got through with heavy rain and wind, and they had trees down.
That was an
and all.
anomaly.
That was. But, now with global warming and everything else, and rising tides, who knows? We're just susceptible to this type of damage. And just to go in and use 1900 technology of going above ground, it's a waste. It's silly. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of the ratepayers' money. And people
And not only that, but they raised all their rates.
Well, right, they weren't going to raise their rates. And here's the governor who put these people in play. This was his hand-picked guys, and because they know what they're doing. And,
I really think right now he's got his own problem.
Well, listen.
He had to hire a criminal lawyer today.
some people.
Yeah.
Hey, well, this is Democratic view, right? I mean, Rick doing the
Sorry.
favor being here.
Sorry,
I get
anybody
it.
who
I get
inflicts
it.
PSEG upon East Hampton.
I agree.
Deserves to get his comeuppances.
I agree.
And doing away with that Moreland Commission was, I mean, you could smell that a mile away, and you knew that was.
Here's the power he has, though, which is why we are calling him out to be accountable. Literally, that FEMA money, because we've talked to a FEMA spokesperson, it was given to New York State, who is the governor. I mean, he could, with a pen, find the money out of $1.4 billion to see that we could get this line underground. Never before, we call it in the legal field, I'm not legal, but they call it past practice.
Yes.
Never before in any of the utilities' history on Long Island has the ratepayer in that community had to pay for infrastructure. For example, Southampton, it was like almost 50-50.
Right.
We're saying, you have millions of dollars here, and you're giving it to a town, which I shall not mention up west, to plant 10,000 evergreen trees to break the wind. They're not even on the shoreline. Let's hope that those evergreen trees are not votes for Mr. Cuomo. I'm serious now, I'm angry.
Oh, my God.
And I get protective of this place.
Well, that's first of all insane logic and reasoning, and you know, I mean, the hardship that the power outages cause. I mean, believe me, there was a show on with Lipa and a couple of guys a year before Sandy, where they talked about how they've got to get these companies to come in from Texas and Ohio, and that's why it takes so long for our power to go. And you know, it's just a scam. It's a scam. That's the way they perpetuate making money. Instead of little by little, they should be burying all the lines.
Well, look at every new development in East Hampton. The lines have to be buried. Where we lived before we moved into the village, everything was buried. You didn't have to worry about anything. You didn't have to
It's
worry
in
about
our
lines.
zoning code.
But they
That's
just, they just came in and they felt that they could do what they wanted, that they, again, I think they sold the village and the town officials a bill of goods. They weren't very forthcoming with what they were doing. I'll give them that. And they just ran roughshod.
So what is the website that we should be going to, or the Facebook page? What is that, take the survey that you have?
That is a web page that was put up by a very talented young woman, Sarah Minardi, who was part of Save East Hampton, where with bringing that up, which is, I want to make sure I get this right, www.facebook.com/SaveEH. And it will give you all the background, some amazing photographs of what they have done to trees in East Hampton. It will give you information of who to contact to see that we get the support that we deserve financially. That's the key now. I mean, PSEG does want to be rated as one of, ready? Are we all sitting down? The best utilities in the United States. Well, they've had 3 polls. They're last. So they're realizing, do we have to listen to these people on Long Island? They're from New Jersey. I got to know some of the guys out on the line, as I have a want to do, say what's happening here. And I said, don't you need permission for this, permission to that? The guy goes, we're from New Jersey. We're not used to asking permission.
Oh, dear.
Well, they came to the wrong place.
And when the meeting is going to be, tell us again.
August 26th, it's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. at the Emergency Services
And
Building on
everybody
6th Street.
should go to it.
Absolutely.
Everybody
and
should
bring your
go
questions. Bring your
Bring
questions.
your
because-
family.
Questions, bring your family. Let's tell PSEG what
We're
we
going
want.
down.
And let's tell that governor, too,
Yes.
that he better give us that money. Enough.
Yes, we're going down.